Black kids kept disappearing. Then Grandma found out the shocking truth. What she saw changed everything. The town was small enough that everybody knew everybody's business. Or at least, that's what they thought. Children had been disappearing for months, little black kids, gone in the night. Mothers wailed in front yards, fathers searched cornfields with flashlights, pastors prayed louder on Sundays, but no one could find answers. Everyone whispered rumors. It's the outsiders. No, it's some kind of sickness, kids running away. Maybe it's the devil's work. But nobody had proof. At the edge of the town, in a peeling white house with creaky steps, lived Miss Ethel Johnson, 74, sharp as a blade, with a back bent from years of picking cotton and a voice that could still silence a room. People called her Grandma Ethel, though most avoided her porch when her eyes narrowed too long. One humid evening, while shelling peas on her porch, she muttered, "Something ain't right in this town. I done seen too much." Her neighbor's boy, Marcus, sat by her feet. "You think they'll find Jamal?" he asked, his voice small, almost breaking. Grandma Ethel's hand froze mid-shell. She looked out across the dirt road, her eyes clouded but unshaken. "They don't want to find him, baby. That's the truth." The crickets outside grew louder, like they too were carrying secrets. That night, Ethel couldn't sleep. Her bones ached, her spirit restless. She wrapped a shawl around her shoulders and rocked in her chair, staring at the sheriff's patrol car rolling slow down the street. Sheriff William Harris, big man, pale eyes, silver badge gleaming under the moonlight. Folks trusted him. White folks, at least. Her chest tightened. "Lord, don't let me be right about this man." 2 nights later, she saw it. With her own eyes. The sheriff's truck parked by the edge of the woods. His shadow moved like a thief, and a small figure, too small to be grown, struggled in his grip. A muffled cry. Then silence. Ethel's heart slammed against her ribs. She pressed her palm to her mouth, tears filling her eyes. No. God, no. The next morning, she walked straight into the diner, cane clicking against the tile floor. Conversation stopped. Every eye turned. She slammed her palm against the counter. "It's him," she said, her voice sharp and trembling. "Sheriff Harris. He's the one talking our babies." The room went quiet, so quiet she could hear her own breathing. Then laughter broke, low at first, then louder. "Miss Ethel, you done lost your mind," said Mr. Thompson, the butcher, shaking his head. "Old woman seeing things," someone muttered from the back. Even Pastor James whispered, "Now, Ethel, you don't go around accusing a man like Sheriff Harris without proof." Ethel's hand trembled on her cane. She felt the sting of betrayal, of being dismissed once again because of her age, her skin, her truth. She stared at their faces, unbelieving, mocking, and said, her voice breaking but steady, "Y'all don't want to believe me, 'cause it's easier to lie to yourselves. But I seen it. I seen him with my own eyes." Nobody listened. Nobody wanted to. But Ethel knew what she saw. And now, she also knew, if she didn't act, more children would vanish. Ethel walked out of that diner with her chin high, but her body shaking. The morning sun hit her face, and she wished it could burn away the shame of being laughed at, dismissed. She gripped her cane tighter and muttered under her breath. "They gone, regret not listening. Lord, help me. They gone, regret it." Back at her house, the silence pressed heavy. She boiled coffee, but her hands trembled too much to sip it. Every creak in the floorboards felt like a warning. She sat by the window, eyes locked on the sheriff's car parked in front of the station across the street. Sheriff Harris leaned against it, tipping his hat, laughing with a young deputy like he had nothing to hide. Her stomach twisted. That night, the cicadas were so loud it felt like the earth itself was buzzing. Ethel sat on her porch, rocking in her chair, when she heard it again, soft footsteps, too careful, too quiet. She leaned forward, squinting into the dark. Then she saw it. The sheriff's truck creeping down the dirt road with its headlights off. Her breath caught. Jesus. She got up, knees stiff, cane dragging as she stepped off her porch. She kept to the shadows, following from a distance. Her heart hammered like a drum in her ears. The truck stopped near the abandoned barn at the edge of town. The doors opened, Sheriff Harris stepped out. And then, Ethel saw him pull a small, shivering figure from the back seat. A child. The boy's muffled cries reached her ears, faint but enough to crack her heart wide open. "No!" Ethel whispered, her tears hot on her cheeks. She pressed herself against a tree, her chest rising and falling like she was drowning on dry land. She wanted to scream, to run at him, to snatch that child away. But her body froze. The sheriff looked around, pale eyes sweeping the dark. Ethel held her breath. If he saw her, she knew what would happen. An old black woman's body would never be found in that town. The barn door creaked open. Sheriff Harris shoved the boy inside and shut it. Then, just like that, he strolled back to his truck, humming like he'd done nothing at all. Ethel stayed there long after the engine faded into the night. Her knees buckled, and she dropped to the dirt, clutching her cane. "Oh, Lord, what am I gonna do?" she whispered. The next morning, she marched back into town. Same diner. Same faces. She slammed her cane against the floor so hard it echoed. "Y'all think I'm crazy? Last night, I followed him. Sheriff Harris. He took another baby. He's hiding them in that old barn by Miller's Creek." Silence. The whole diner turned to stare. "Ethel, enough." Pastor James' voice was sharp, almost angry. "You're stirring trouble we don't need. Trouble we don't need." The words cut her deeper than a knife. Ethel scanned the room, looking at mothers who'd lost babies, fathers with hollow eyes, neighbors she'd known all her life. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke up. Nobody believed her. Ethel slammed her palm against her chest. "You fools. You blind fools. He's talking our babies right under your noses, and y'all too scared to see it." Her voice cracked. Tears welled up. But nobody stood with her. Nobody. That night, Ethel sat alone at her kitchen table. The clock ticked slow, the shadows in her house stretching long. Her jaw was set, her eyes burning. "If they won't help," she whispered to herself, "then I'll do it alone." She reached for the shotgun her late husband kept behind the door. And for the first time in a long time, Grandma Ethel didn't feel like an old woman. She felt like fire. The shotgun felt heavy in her hands, heavier than she remembered. Ethel set it across her lap as she sat at the kitchen table, the dim bulb above her buzzing faintly. She whispered a prayer, fingers trembling over the wood. "Lord, I'm tired. I'm tired of burying truth while evil walks free. If you don't send me help, then give me strength. 'Cause tonight, I'm going where them babies are." Her old hound, Rufus, whimpered at her feet, sensing the storm inside her. Ethel stood slow, her knees aching, but her spirit blazing. She wrapped her faded shawl tighter around her shoulders, pulled her husband's lantern from the shelf, and slipped into the night. The town was asleep, windows dark, the air thick with crickets and summer heat. She walked the dirt road like a shadow, her cane clicking faintly, shotgun strapped across her back. Each step was fear and courage wrestling inside her chest. When she reached the woods near Miller's Creek, her breath caught. The sheriff's truck was parked again by the barn. Its red paint glinted faintly under the moon. Her pulse quickened. She crouched low, easing herself behind a cluster of bushes. Her old bones screamed in protest, but she held still, her lantern dimmed. She watched as the barn door creaked open. This time, the sound was different. Louder. Sharper. She saw the sheriff's silhouette stepping outside, alone. He lit a cigarette, the red tip glowing in the dark. He leaned against his truck, puffing slow, like a man with no worries in the world. Ethel's grip tightened on her cane. "He don't even care, don't even hide it no more." Then, softly, she heard it. From inside the barn. A sob. A child's voice, trembling, calling out faintly. "Mama, please. Mama." Ethel's heart cracked wide open. Her eyes blurred with tears, her body shaking. She pressed her hand to her mouth, desperate not to cry out. The sheriff tossed his cigarette to the dirt, crushed it under his boot, and climbed back into his truck. The engine roared to life, the headlights blinding for a moment before swinging away down the road. Silence returned. Ethel stayed crouched, her body stiff, waiting until the hum of the truck faded. Then, slowly, painfully, she rose. The barn loomed before her, its wood rotting, roof sagging like it might collapse. But behind those walls, she knew. She knew. She limped closer, each step heavier than the last. Her hand reached for the latch, fingers trembling. She hesitated, her breath shallow. "Lord, please," she whispered. "Let me be strong." She pushed the door open. The smell hit her first, stale hay, sweat, and something darker. Her lantern's glow revealed old wooden beams, rusted farm tools, and in the corner, small eyes staring back at her. Children. 3 of them, huddled together, clothes dirty, cheeks stained with tears. Their faces lit up in terror at first, then confusion. One of them, a little girl with pigtails, whispered, "Grandma? You here to take us home?" Ethel's chest heaved. Tears spilled down her face. She dropped her cane, rushed forward, and fell to her knees, gathering them into her arms. "Yes, baby. Yes, I'm here." Her voice shook, breaking apart. "I ain't leavin' y'all here no more. Not another night." But even as she held them, she knew the truth. The sheriff would come back. And when he did, he'd know someone had found his secret. The children clung to Ethel's arms like she was the first bit of hope they'd seen in forever. Their small hands were trembling, their eyes wide, searching her face as if to make sure she was real. "Shoo, babies," she whispered, rocking them gently. "Y'all gotta be quiet now. Real quiet. We gonna get outta here, but you can't make a sound." The oldest, a boy no more than 10, wiped his nose with his sleeve. He said if we scream, he'll kill us. Ethel's heart clenched. She cupped his face, her voice low but firm. Listen to me, child. That man ain't gone touch y'all again. Not while I got breath in my body. Her lantern flickered. Shadows stretched long across the walls. Every creak of the barn would sounded like footsteps, every gust of wind like the sheriff's breath at her neck. She grabbed her cane, then looked at the shotgun strapped to her back. Her hands hovered over it, then pulled away. No, she thought. If I fire this thing, the whole town gone here. I gotta be smart. I gotta be quiet. All right, babies, she whispered, steadying her voice though her chest was tight. We gon' walk slow. Don't trip, don't talk. Just hold on to Grandma's dress and follow me. The littlest girl grabbed the hem of her faded shawl. The others linked behind her. Ethel's knees ached as she pushed herself up, lantern in one hand, cane in the other, heart pounding like a war drum. They stepped into the night. The barn door creaked louder than thunder in her ears. She froze, breath caught, waiting for headlights to sweep down the road. But nothing came. Just the hum of crickets and the whisper of the creek. She guided the children down the dirt path, her eyes darting left and right. The woods seemed to close in around them, branches clawing at their clothes. The boy stumbled on a root, and Ethel snatched him up by the arm. Shoo, she hissed, pulling him close. One sound, and he'll hear us. The boy nodded, biting his lip so hard it bled. They walked faster, fear pushing them forward. Ethel could see the faint glow of her porch light through the trees. Relief surged in her chest, home was close. Just a little farther. But then, headlights. The children froze, clutching her dress tighter. The hum of an engine rolled down the dirt road behind them. Sheriff Harris's truck. Ethel's breath caught, her body rigid. The light cut through the trees, sweeping closer, brighter. The little girl whimpered, Grandma. Ethel crouched, pulling the children down into the brush. Her voice was a sharp whisper, desperate but firm. Don't move. Don't breathe. Stay low. The truck slowed. Gravel crunched under its tires. Ethel's heart slammed so hard she thought it would give her away. Sheriff Harris's silhouette was clear through the windshield. Pale eyes scanning the road. Searching. The truck rolled to a stop. And the headlights stayed pointed straight at the woods. Right where they were hiding. The children huddled against her, trembling. Ethel pressed her finger to her lips, praying her heart wouldn't beat loud enough for the sheriff to hear. The truck idled, its headlights burning into the trees. Sheriff Harris's door creaked open. Heavy boots hit the dirt. Thought I saw something, his voice drawled, low and menacing. Ethel clutched her shotgun, her hands slick with sweat. Her mind screamed run, but her body said fight. She'd seen too many years, buried too many babies, lived too much truth to let this man keep walking the earth like a wolf among sheep. She whispered to the children, her voice trembling but steady. Y'all run. Don't look back. Run straight to my house, you hear me? Porch lights on. Don't stop till you touch it. The boy shook his head fiercely. Grandma, no. Do what I said, she hissed, pushing him gently. The Lord gone, cover me. Now go. The children bolted, bare feet slapping against dirt, their small figures vanishing into the dark. Ethel stood tall, shotgun gripped firm. Her knees wobbled, but her spirit burned. Sheriff Harris stepped closer, the glow of his flashlight cutting through the branches. His pale eyes narrowed when they landed on her. Well, well, he said with a cruel smile. Knew somebody'd get nosy. Didn't think it'd be you, Ethel. She raised the shotgun, pointing it straight at his chest. Her voice cracked but carried the weight of generations. You touch another baby, William Harris, and I swear on every grave in this town, I'll send you to meet your maker tonight. He chuckled, low and mocking. You think anybody's gonna believe an old, crazy black woman over me? Sheriff of this town? Her finger tightened on the trigger. I don't need nobody to believe me. I just need you to stop. For a long moment, the night held its breath. The crickets quieted. Even the air stilled. Sheriff Harris's smirk faltered as he realized she wasn't bluffing. Then, bang. The shot echoed through the trees, rolling across the town like thunder. Lights flicked on in nearby houses. Dogs barked. Voices rose in confusion. When the smoke cleared, Sheriff Harris lay sprawled in the dirt, his badge glinting under the moonlight, his reign of terror over. Ethel dropped the shotgun, her whole body shaking. Tears blurred her eyes as she stumbled forward. The children were already racing back with neighbors behind them, their voices frantic. Grandma Ethel, the little girl cried, throwing herself into her arms. The townsfolk gathered, faces pale with shock, eyes darting between the sheriff's lifeless body and the children clinging to Ethel. For the first time, nobody laughed. Nobody doubted. The truth stood plain in the dirt. Ethel lifted her chin, her voice hoarse but unbroken. He was stealin' our babies. Y'all didn't believe me. But now you see. Silence. Heavy. Shameful. Pastor James stepped forward, eyes wet, his voice soft. Lord, forgive us, we should have listened. Ethel looked at the children, then back at the townsfolk. Her tears burned hot, but her voice was steady as stone. No. You should have believed. The night ended with the sheriff's body carried away, the children finally safe. But for Ethel, the scars ran deeper. She knew evil didn't vanish with one man, it lived in the silence, in the blindness, in the choosing not to see. And she swore, as long as she breathed, she'd never let that silence win again.